Hi, everybody. My name is Justin Caffrey, and thanks for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to do an explainer video on one of the most watched therapeutic practices that I've shared on YouTube, the hand pressing technique. What's actually happening in terms of our physiological, biological, and neurological responses to this. Before we get there, if you're here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Less than 20% of the people who watch this content are subscribed to the channel. This is my vehicle to be of service to you, to your friends, to your community, to whoever needs to access it. This is completely free. I want this content to be a means to help people, especially those who don't have access to the therapeutic care and support that some of us are more privileged to be able to access. And I wanted to be there for you. So the more people who subscribe and who like and who comment, I read my comments. We have a phenomenal community. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here. We have a phenomenal community of people who are trying their best to heal, to become clearer in mind and body and thought. So if you want to be part of that community, put a message below. Let me know how this video lands. Please like, please subscribe, and please let's keep working together. A couple of quick messages to throw in. As you may know, I work with some people on a one-to-one basis. I have very limited scope to do that, and I only work with a small amount of folks annually on a one-to-one basis. I've had more and more requests to create group work. I'm trying to find a model at the moment that is affordable for folks to join. That also means I can pivot my business a little bit more into group work so that I can facilitate that. I love small groups. It would be kind of 12, 14, 15 people at the most. I'm looking at a structure where I create something in the order of 24 hours of work spread over 8 weeks, not 24 hours all at one go. Don't worry, that will be way too intense, but spread over 8 weeks. I'm interested to find out who would like to be part of this, who would enjoy therapeutic group work together. We will walk through as a group the healing processes around the vagus nerve. We'll come together to collectively discuss trauma, to understand what's needed in terms of mind, body, and soul to resolve all of our challenges in life, or try our best to cover some ways to help at the very least. If you're interested, I've put a link below, an email. Please send an email with your name and your details, and just let us know. We want to see what level of interest there is. If it's big enough, I'll create it, and then we'll bring everybody together. So today, I want to just discuss the hand pressing technique. There's a video up here to show you how to do this. It's a 1-minute video explaining how to do it. But I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here to try and understand and get a bit more insight. In particular, this is really helpful for people who are feeling stressed, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, or if you're in panic attack or you're struggling with panic attacks. What we're doing here is we're accessing the body in the context of the physical tension that exists within stress. We're also accessing the vagus nerve by resetting the breathing pattern so that we start to move into a rest and recovery state as opposed to being chronically caught in a fight and flight state. And we're repeating it to kind of extend that muscle, that resilience of holding the breath, slowing down, creating spaciousness. This is a technique that is of origin in Ayurvedic and ancient Indian practices. It was taught to me by one of my teachers phenomenal human being by the name of Pradeep Chadha. And Pradeep, although he's a medical doctor and qualified as a psychiatrist, later in life relied more on the healing modalities that he'd learned as a child from his grandfather than on what he had learned through Western medicine. It's not to say there isn't a place for Western medicine, there isn't a place for medication, there really is. But there's also a space and a place for allowing us to find the immense resources within our own minds, our own bodies, our own souls to truly holistically heal ourselves. And I was quite excited to realize the power of this practice myself recently, because although my chronic anxiety goes back to 2015 and I've had relatively little interaction with anxiety since 2016, I had a situation recently where we had to fly to the States. My son has been brought on an athletic scholarship. It's an incredible opportunity for him to finish school in the US. It was very exciting. And we were on a journey. He's 16. We went out, we met the school, we met all the athletic coaches, super stuff. He plays at a really high level in soccer. But when I came away from that, and I flew from the US, I flew from Philadelphia to a meeting in Europe, and my family flew home, and I was alone for a few days. And it really brought a sense of uncertainty to me, that this relationship that I had placed so much emphasis on and value in was all of a sudden coming to an end way before I considered it likely to come to an end. I thought he'd probably go to university in Ireland and keep living with us for a few more years thereafter. But all of a sudden, at 16, he could be gone. And it brought me into a state of unease and uncertainty. And then uncertainty creates a vacuum. It's like ambiguity as a vacuum leads to anxiety. So I started to feel anxious, and now I was jet lagged and I was tired. I'm out of my routine. I'm sleeping in a hotel. My family are in a different country. Huge changes going on in my life. So I become dysregulated. And then I started to have really anxious feelings in the morning. Now, of course, if it was my clients talking to me, I would be immediately going, okay, here are some of the principles you need to follow. This is the pathway. Let's get you back into good shape. But like the old expression goes about the cobbler's shoes, cobblers back in the days when we used to bring our shoes to somebody to mend were the people who mended shoes. And the expression always was in the old days that the cobbler's shoes were always the shoes that were least mended, because he was busy repairing everybody else's shoes and not take care of his own. Modern approach to this is put your own oxygen mask on before tending to somebody else. So here I am, not actually being kind, considerate, and caring for myself, and trapped inside some anxiety for the first time in years. Then 2 days later, wow, eureka, I need to do the hand pressing exercise. And what I found really insightful was that it helped me remember that when you're feeling really anxious, when you're feeling like you've got real physical stress in the body, that impending sense of doom is looming over you, and you do the hand pressing exercise. So we're using nasal breathing. We're breathing in, breathing out. When all the air is out of the body, you're pressing your left hand and your right hand together like they're in a wrestling match. And the tension between the two should be so severe that the arms and hands are shaking, the shoulders are shaking, and there's a heat created in the body. And you're holding your breath after you've exhaled all the air whilst this is going on, until the moment comes where you feel the absolute need to breathe, almost like coming up to the top of a swimming pool. So you will then breathe like all the air out, 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 out. And when it's empty again, you hold your breath and you go again. And you do that 3 times consecutively. What was amazing was I remembered that when you're feeling really stressed, the amount of time that you can hold your breath for is super short. And I did 2 rounds of 3. So you do 3 in a row. You do breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, hold your breath, press your hands together. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, hold your breath, press your hands together. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, hold your breath, press your hands together. I was amazed that after I did 3, when I then stopped and you have a little break in the middle for 2 minutes and started again, that I was holding my breath for a little bit longer. And by the time I'd done 6 and I stopped, I noticed that the intensity of the anxiety being felt physically in my body had shifted. And I've posted videos about this exercise, but I can forget, and experiential is so important. You know, people who work in a coaching or a therapeutic setting don't often speak about their own pain, but it's really important because you can only relate to people who are human just like you, who hurt just like you, have pain just like you. And I actually thank God, the universe, a combination of everything together, that I was reminded what it was like to feel that sense of anxiety, that impending doom, and to have that vacuum of ambiguity appear. And then to notice that there's an ability for me to intervene and shift. And I've practiced the hand pressing technique for 7 days. I stopped meditating because when you're really anxious, meditation can be quite hard to get into, and it can also make your anxiety even worse, right? So there's a space to stop meditating, to use this physical connection to the nervous system, to make sure that you're getting to bed on time, to make sure that you're eating and nourishing and wholesome, or as wholesome as you can physically afford or financially afford, should I say, and drinking enough water and trying to get into nature and slow down. So I brought a lot of these practices into my life. This hand pressing exercise, my God, it never ceases to amaze me. And you'll see the comments on the videos about it as well. And it's a really fantastic way to enter and access the vagus nerve. And the history of this, and it comes from, you know, ancient mystics, is quite interesting because in India, where they had Kundalini yoga, and a lot of the breathing techniques come from Kundalini yoga. The Kundalini serpent, when you look at the serpent, as it spirals down the body, when you see it ever beautifully drawn or painted, it's actually touching all of the points on the vagus nerve. And Kundalini yoga is bringing us into the parasympathetic state. And you may know this, but a lot of folks don't. Yoga was created as a mechanism to tire the body out in order to slow down and meditate. So when we're heightened and anxious, we're not really in the best state to just suddenly drop in and be spiritual or non-spiritual, if you want, in meditation. Whatever your flavor on meditation is, it's a completely agnostic practice. I don't espouse to any particular religious belief myself. I have a faith in something bigger than me, but I don't describe it as a particular God or a particular religion. I believe there is something bigger and greater than me, and I'm very thankful for that. But meditation can be completely agnostic in the context of religion. You can just be breathing. But how we breathe is so important, and down regulating our breath when we're feeling anxious is super important. And just as a point of reference, if you're using something like Wim Hof breathing, which is really valuable for lots of different things, for folks who are feeling anxious, it's not helpful. If I was doing Wim Hof breathing the other day when my body was already tight and I'm feeling high levels of anxiety, I'm going to up-regulate my nervous system when really I need to down-regulate my nervous system. So it's super important to reference and understand what's needed for you right now in this moment. So I hope that's given you a little bit of insight into a really nice practice. There's links below into the videos to this practice as well if you want more insight. Please put your questions below. Let me know what you think. And if you think that working in a group guided by me in small groups of 10 to 15 people, probably, we'd meet once a week. We would meet for 2 to 3 hours once a week, and we would extend that over an 8-week period. So that overall, we'd have about 24 hours of work as a collective. You'd have access to my content. We would share a lot of work around therapeutic work. There will be homework practices, nothing too tasking, don't worry, not like homework in school, personal development work. If that sounds like it is a space that you would be interested in journeying along with me, I'd love to hear from you. It's not going to be for everybody. And we're going to have to kind of assess who's right for these groups and who isn't right for these groups. And please accept my humblest apologies now if you don't make it into the group. But for some people, it's just not going to be the right time. So first of all, let me know if you have an interest. Get your details into that initial entry point. Then we will send out some assessments to everybody who wants to join, and we will look to get a group up and running, our first group, our inaugural group, in May. So remember, please like, subscribe, and comment. It's really important. I want to hear from you. I want to know more about you. If you want to know more about me, go to justincaffrey.com. Don't forget, come and follow me on Instagram, justin.caffrey. It's more kind of fun stuff, but I share some insights. I share some things that resonate with me in terms of ideas on that channel every day. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you as a community. I am humbled by the amount of people who are joining our community. We're growing now at a rate of 1,000 subscribers a month, which just blows my mind. This channel and my work is devoted to the memory of my son, Joshua, my greatest teacher, who helped me figure out who I am as a dad, a man, a husband, a friend, and a coach. So thanks for being here. It means a lot.